Okay, good afternoon. Kindly tell your classmates to join our virtual room. We will start at exactly 5 o'clock.
Opo, ma'am.
Thank you. Okay, so let's start. So reminder attendance is already checked by Google Meet. So downloaded yan automatically from Google Meet. And then naka-time in, time out then. Also, the duration of your stay in the virtual room is also recorded in the automatic attendance checker. And then, recorded din ng video ang lesson discussion natin this afternoon. Let's check first, am I audible at your end? Dinig po ba? Audible ba at your end? Okay. So recap muna tayo for the midterm. So may ibang sections from Porcom na hindi pa nakakapag or hindi pa tapos sa self-introduction, job context. So it will be resumed kapag ka nag-face-to-face na tayo. Otherwise, if until next week hindi pa rin tayo face-to-face, we'll have it online presentation na lang para dun sa mga sa section. I think one section na lang naman yon na hindi pa nakatapos for self-introduction, and then also for the completion of midterm exam, face-to-face din siya. So kapag nag-resume yung face-to-face natin, yung mga kailangan mag-take ng midterm exam with excuse letter or medical certificate, yun yung magiging schedule natin, yung first day of face-to-face meeting. Then kapag ka hindi rin nagkaroon ng face-to-face meeting next week, mag-online na lang tayo. So I will change the test content, and then we'll have it online, yung pinaka-midterm para dun sa mga mag-take ng special exam. So final term reorientation tayo, we have our grading components, still written output, performance output, and the term exam. Now for the written outputs, you'll have quiz and script as well as the folder, compilation of all your activities, still 30%, pareho pa din dun sa i-record natin. And then for the performance output, still the attendance, the performance of your final term presentation, and then the recitation. Then dito, supposed to be tatanggalin natin yung term exam kasi instead of pen and paper exam, yung pinaka-final presentation nyo na lang, yung pinaka-term exam ninyo. So sa class record natin, hindi na natin tatanggalin yung column ng term exam. Instead, kung ano yung magiging score ninyo para dito sa performance ninyo, final term presentation, yun din yung score na ilalagay natin sa term exam. So meaning, yung final performance ninyo, total of 70% yon. Magiging 70%. So yung presentation ninyo, this final term, isa lang naman yon, kailangan nyo siyang paghandaan. So kung ano yung final term presentation ninyo, that will be our topic this afternoon. And then reminders to those students who were marked drop. Yung mga students na may mark drop from midterm or those students who attended only 1 to 3 attendance out of average of 10 to 11 meetings, total number of attendance ng midterm. So yan yung mga hindi pumapasok. So the only way or the only chance for you to get a passing score of at least 76% at the end of the semester is for you to complete your attendance this final term, ensure the quality of your output, both written and performance output, and then submit it on time. Otherwise, kapag hindi umabot yung final term grade ninyo at hindi nabatak yung midterm grade ninyo na line of 6, yung iba, failed ang makukuha nyo. Wala po tayong INC. Kasi yung INC, applicable lang yun dun sa mga student na talaga namang pumapasok, yun nga lang, hindi ganun kataas yung nakukuhang score. So sila may chance to complete kasi uma-attend naman sila ng klase. So not to be unfair to them, para dun sa mga hindi naman talaga pumapasok. Pumasok lang during midterm. Tapos pumasok lang, meron pa nga conversion week to, di ba? Yung ibang student nagka-attendance because of the conversion week. So totally halos hindi pumasok ng buong midterm. So yan lang yung kababagsakan ng mga hindi pumapasok. Kung hindi mahahatak ng final term grade, automatic failed. Then, may nag-try na nito, magpa-compute from other section. Parang the grade, the midterm grade is 66. So kung 66 yung grade ng midterm, ang kailangan niya ay at least 88 for final term. 88 and up. And then yung iba, parang ang kailangan nilang makuha for final term is 92, 94, 95 para sumampa ng 76 yung semester grade nila para hindi sila maging failed. So yun yung para sa mga nakakuha ng below 60 or below 70 and then yung may mga mark na drop sa attendance. Then sa syllabus natin, for the final term, the topic is lakihan natin. The syllabus, communication for work purposes. So I've already given you this one. You've already have your task here. Ito yung compilation ng minutes of the meeting, memo, yung proposal, incident report. Yun yung pinaka-output nitong topic na to. So okay na tayo dito sa isa. And then yung pangalawa, dalawa lang kasi ang nasa final term natin based sa syllabus. So tapos na yan, effective communication in the workplace. Yung output nyo dito is yung na-mention ko na, yung minutes, memo, project proposal. Then submission of this one to be submitted on the first day of face-to-face resumption. So kung next week face-to-face, next week na rin ang submission yan. First day, depending on your class schedule. Then ito na yung last topic based sa syllabus natin. This is IMRAD. Yan. research paper or a research study, presentation of your research study in IMRAD format. So this afternoon, I'll be discussing to you briefly what IMRAD format is. And then some of the terms, ipapaubaya ko na sa inyo yung terms dito sa IMRAD. Kasi IMRAD is the summary or the encapsulated format of the whole or a full-blown research which has chapters 1 to 5 as its parts. So, galing din siya sa full-blown research. And yung parts na yon sobrang dami at sobrang broad na hindi siya kayang i-cover for 21 hours. So, ang gagawin natin dito, papalitan ko yung pinaka magiging output ninyo. So, ang i-discuss ko this afternoon, not the content knowledge, but the procedural knowledge of the step-by-step, or I'll be demonstrating to you how are you going to properly write at least the concept paper or the title paper. So, ito na yung pinaka-last topic natin, and then the rest of the meeting will be your time to write your paper. So, discussion muna tayo. So, academic writing, nandito naman, in-include ko yung mga terminologies na kailangan ninyong maintindihan, and if ever you need further information about certain term, you may search online. So in this term, we will be having written output, which is research writing using IMRAD format. But like I've mentioned, papalitan natin to. Hindi siya IMRAD format, instead concept paper lang. When we say concept paper, title lang yan, or the chapter 1 of the full-blown research. And then for the performance output, you will be having your presentation skills. So you are going to have your title defense. Yan yung magiging output natin for this one. For the instructions, rubric, and grouping, this will be discussed next meeting, Friday, same time, 5 p.m. So ito yung pag-uusapan natin next meeting, yung pinaka-mismong instruction and rubric. Kasi sa rubric, dalawa ang magiging rubric natin. 2 rubrics for written, 2 rubrics for performance output. Ano yon? 1 rubric for your peer evaluation. Kasi group work siya gagawin, so there will be a peer evaluation wherein you will all be given the chance to rate your classmate or member based on certain criteria. So bibigyan ko kayo ng criteria, for example sa peer evaluation rubric. So itong rubric on process pa to, pina-finalize ko pa siya. So peer evaluation, bigay lang tayo ng sample para may idea kayo. Kasi hindi pwede yung pabigat sa mga group work. So, meron tayong peer evaluation, example, criteria. Yung criteria natin, pwedeng participation, ease of communication, kasi yung iba mahirap kausap, di ba? Timeliness, and then quality of contribution. Yung mga ganyang criteria ilalagay natin sa peer evaluation rubric. Quality of contribution. So, simple lang naman to, 1/4 or 1/2 crosswise lang, nakalagay lang yung pangalan ng bawat member, and then nandun yung bawat criterion. For example, criterion 1, participation, criterion 2 is communication, and then sa pinakadulong comment,
Binayin ko na po ang body ng energy.
Ay, ate, ang sakit.
Baka naka-on mic ka.
meron tayong remarks sa pinakadulo na column. So, paano nyo gagawin si remarks? Yan. So, for example, sa participation, you can rate your classmate 1 to 5. Ganon din sa ease of communication, 1 to 5. So, lahat ng criterion na yan, tig 1 to 5. Then, bawat member i-rate ninyo. For example, yung classmate nyo, binigyan nyo lang siya dito ng 2. Tapos dito 3 kasi may hirap kausap. Tapos timeliness, 3 kasi laging late. Okay, ang quality of output, ang binigay niya lang is 2 kasi ang gawa may maipasa lang. So, lagyan nyo lang siya sa remarks, brief explanation lang. Para lang meron kayong babalikan or marirecall ninyo, bakit nyo nga ba siya binigyan ng 2? Ano ba yung ipinasa niya na low quality? So, lagyan nyo lang ng note dito sa remarks. Para kapag may nag-ask or may nagtanong, meron kayong matitignan na reference bakit 2 lang yung binigay nyo o kaya bakit 3 lang yung binigay nyo for certain criteria. Ganyan lang yung magiging peer evaluation ninyo, 1/2 crosswise. Now, yung score nito, paano yung scoring? Yung magiging raw score nyo is the average. So, i-average lang natin lahat ng rating na makukuha ninyo from the member of your group. And then, yung average nun, yun yung magiging raw score ninyo. So, hindi ko pala ano dito. Copy-paste ko yung sample ng class record. Wait lang. Para meron kayong idea. Sample natin sa class record nyo mismo. For com. 1C, 1D. Final term. So, 30, 20 lang. Wait lang, hayusin ko yung ano. So, meron tayong quiz. And then, concept paper. Peer evaluation. And then, folder. Sa performance output, meron tayong title defense, attendance, recitation, and then peer evaluation. Then dito yung title defense. Yan. Wait, copy-paste natin. Yan. So, ito yung class record. Ito pa rin yung gagamitin natin for midterm o for final term. So, sa written outputs, 30% pa rin siya. Ang meron dyan ay quiz, concept paper. Yung concept paper, ang panggagalingan ng score nito is may rubric. Yung instructor's rubric. And then peer evaluation, yung in-explain ko sa inyo kanina, yung rating ng inyong ka-member. And then yung folder compilation of all activities natin, yan yung mga nasa written works. Then for the performance, title defense. So yung pagpe-present ninyo, rubric ko din yung gagamitin dito or ako din yung rater ninyo dito. And then yung attendance ninyo, yung recitation, and then yung peer evaluation. Yung rate ng mga ka-member nyo sa inyo. So let's say, for example, 30 yung total nito. So ilalagay lang natin dyan 30. Yun yung magiging score nyo. Kunyari, naka 28 lang kayo out of your evaluation, peer evaluation. So 28 yung raw score ninyo. So nakukuha yon by getting the average of all the rates given to you by your members or classmates. And then dito sa term exam, instead na pen and paper, kung ano yung score ninyo sa title defense. Yun din ang score na ilalagay natin dito sa term exam. Ay, sa term exam. Pero hindi siya pen and paper. Kasi yung score ng title defense nyo, ang makikita nyo dito sa quarterly assessment. So, making that title defense 70%. 70% yung total contribution ng title defense ninyo. So, yan po yung para sa final term natin. Grading natin. Then, okay, proceed tayo. If you have any question, just raise your hand to call my attention. Raise hand button. So, key terms to read. IMRAD format, so it stands for Introduction, Methods, Results, Analysis, and Discussions. So meron dito sa baba, mga terminologies like independent variable, dependent variable, characteristics of research. So hindi na natin siya isa-isahin, just read them, read and comprehend these terms. So ang ipapaliwanag ko sa inyo is not the content knowledge, but the procedural knowledge. How are you going to write? So like I've said, yung introduction, ito according to Bradford Hill's introduction method result discussion. These are the questions that you need to answer. Therefore, the content will revolve around this question. But to simply put it, yung IMRAD, if you're familiar with chapters 1 to 5 ng full-blown research, baba pa natin. Yan. So, IMRAD, so yung letter I, this is the chapter 1 and 2. Yung M or yung methodology, that is equivalent to chapter 3. And then yung result and discussion. Yung result, analysis, and discussion, this is your chapters 4 and 5. So basically, IMRAD siya. Kapag tinignan nyo, yung sample ng IMRAD, parang napakaigsi. Pero encapsulated details lang siya ng full-blown research. Dito pa rin siya galing sa chapters 1 to 5. So yung chapters 1 to 5, medyo mahaba yan. Detailed yung pagkakagawa niya. And then parts nung mga yang chapters 1 to 5 na yan, yun yung ikukunin natin at inilalagay dito sa kada letter ng IMRAD format. So hindi rin kayo makakagawa ng IMRAD kung wala kayong chapters 1 to 5. Kasi saan nyo kukuhanin yung detalye na ilalagay nyo for introduction, for your method, for your RAD, kung wala naman kayong nagawang chapters 1 to 5. But yung requirement nga ninyo for this term is just concept or yung chapter 1 lang. Yun lang yung ipapasa. So, ang pinaka-importante na kailangan ninyong matutunan dito na marami ang nalilito kung paano siya gawin is kung paano magsulat. How are you going to write? How are you going to extract information from articles, from literatures, and from studies? Kasi yung iba ginagawa copy-paste. So, hindi siya basta kina-copy-paste. So, I'll be showing you, I'll be demonstrating to you the simplest way on how you can write. So, how to properly write your chapter 1 kasi doon mag-uumpisa lahat. Bago kayo makarating or magkaroon ng chapter 1, you have to first identify the research gap. So, paano nakukuha ang research gap or yung research problem? Saan siya nagbabase? Siyempre, first, galing yan minsan sa first-hand experience o kaya naman sa observation natin. Yung mga naobserbahan natin na problem, pwedeng doon manggaling and then sa first-hand experience. But those first-hand experience or observations not enough to say that it is a research gap. Kasi baka mamaya yung problemang nakikita nyo or na-experience nyo, hindi pala siya feasible or hindi siya research material. Baka yung problema pala na yun, matagal nang may solusyon. So, paano siya mako-confirm that it is really a research gap? Then, it should be supported by related literature or studies. Yan. So, kailangan nyo pa rin magbasa bago kayo magsimulang magsulat, bago kayo magkaroon ng title, bago kayo magkaroon ng iba't ibang parts ng chapter 1. Ito muna ang una nyo kailangang hanapin. And then, build the research gap or the unsolved problem. Ang ibibigay ko sa inyo example is the easiest and simplest study na nagawa na or nagawa ko na. Since language ang sa akin, language ang specialization ko, so the sample that I'll be giving to you is of course from my specialization. So sa inyo, since ang gagawin ninyo is concept paper according to your program or specialization, i-apply nyo lang kung ano yung way or yung method or yung procedure na gagawin na ipapakita ko or i-demo ko sa inyo. I-apply nyo siya doon sa specific program ninyo. Kasi ito nga ay for English or for language. So example, proposed problem based on observation or first-hand experience. So ang proposed dito is incompetent writing skills of BSE English major. Yan yung na-observe, yan yung first-hand experience. So pwede siyang research gap, pwedeng hindi. Pwedeng problema na meron naman palang solusyon. So proposed problem pa lang. Now how are we going to confirm this one? Pwede tayong mag-conduct ng initial basis sa locality. Ano yung pwedeng maging evidence? So yung evidence na ginamit dito is yung mga written essays or outputs na ng mga BSE English major kung saan makikita yung pagiging incompetent nila pagdating sa English writing skills. So isa na yan. Pero hindi pa rin yan enough kasi kailangan siya magkaroon ng supported evidences coming from literature and studies. So, dito sa proposed problem natin na incompetency ng mga BSE English students pagdating sa writing skills, makaka-extract na tayo ng variables. Kasi dito tayo kukuha. Ito yung mga key terms, yung variables na tinatawag, yung mga key terms na kailangan nating hanapin. Yes, Daniel, you're raising your hand. May question po? May question ba? Okay, proceed tayo. So, based dito sa proposed problem, ang nakikita nating related dyan or relevant variables, syempre yung English grammar kasi part ng English writing skills. And then the writing skill itself. So, sa Google, pwede kayong mag-search for the related literature ng mga article. Pwede siyang newspaper, magazine, online journals, blog or vlog, any text. International and local dapat. That will define your variables and that will support your claim. So, yan yung mga hahanapin nyo. So, ito lang muna yung variables na meron tayo. Dalawa, English grammar and writing skills. Then, sa related studies naman, these are statements or facts or details coming from researches. Yung mga journal, published journals, mga thesis or dissertation paper. Dito papasok yon sa studies. So meron na tayong pagbabasihan, meron na tayong keyword na ilalagay sa Google search. Pwede na tayong magbasa-basa. So ito yung sample ko. Sa chapter 1, let's say nakapagbasa na tayo, may mga nakita na tayo mga article, studies, and literature. So paano nyo naman siya isusulat? The first part, chapter 1 tong pinag-uusapan natin na introduction and background. Part 1, opening statement. Own claim nyo muna. Sarili nyo munang paliwanag, sarili nyo munang claim. So dito yung mga naka-blue na font, sariling claim po yan. So in the field of education, specifically aspirant English language teachers are expected to exhibit good writing skills. However, writing is one of the most challenging language skills in learning second language. So dito may kinlaim, one of the most challenging language skills. Yang kinlaim nyo na yan, siguraduhin yung meron kayong maisusuporta na literature. So, umpisahan nyo yung mga international muna. Mga international, ibang bansa. Mga article sa ibang bansa. So, ito na yung pinaka-support doon sa claim. As a matter of fact, according to Brandt, in order to satisfy language educators on written works, language learners should obtain good grammatical structures, appropriate punctuation marks, verb in the right tenses, pronoun in the right cases, and correct spelling of words. And to obtain all this, ito yung sarili ulit, kasi parang medyo kulang. Kung titignan nyo, ang sinabi most challenging language, pero yung nakuha nating supporting details coming from an article is hindi siya masyadong ganun ka-strong na nagsusupport dito sa claim na most challenging language yung English. Ang sinabi lang niya kasi dito, language learners should obtain. So So medyo magaan pa or hindi pa ganun kabigat yung evidence or yung support. Kaya to obtain all this, the skills on handwriting, spelling, vocabulary, sentence construction, and paragraph writing are all necessary since these skills are considered the building blocks. So pwede kayong magdagdag ng sarili ninyong statement para ma-direct or mas maging malinaw yung support ng nakuha ninyong article dito sa claim ninyo. Next, another one. Consequently, people around the globe have a seemingly limitless way of writing as means of communication through the advent of technology such as texting, chatting, posting via social media accounts, and the likes. Then another international, Thomas Wesky states that while communication boom has been praised for its educational benefits, the negative effect, ano yung negative effect? Kasi ang sabi dito, yung writing skills nga daw, na ginagamit natin sa with the technology, kagaya ng texting, chatting, di ba minsan shortcut na. Pinapaigsi na yung mga salita. So that could affect yung writing skills. Kasi yung spelling pa nga lang, shortcut na natin kapag chat or text yung ginagamit natin. Kaya din yung transitional device na ginamit sa kanya is consequently. So ipapartner nyo rin or gagamitan nyo rin siya ng appropriate transitional device para maging smooth yung flow ng inyong paper or yung content ng paper ninyo, maging logically arranged or hindi siya magulong basahin. Maayos or smooth yung flow ng ideas or ng content ng paper ninyo. So the explosion of social media that brought cyberslang undeniably damaged students' writing acumen. As expounded by, it damages in the way that people nowadays forget the correct spelling of the word and worse, forget the correct structure of the sentence because of abbreviation, acronym, and the likes. Next, another. So lahat yan, do magkakaiba dito, sinasabi na yung writing skills, medyo mahirap kasi kailangan daw good grammatical structures, appropriate punctuation, and then ito daw yung mga skills na kailangan, handwriting, spelling, vocabulary. Ito namang second statement, pinapakita naman yung negative effect ng technology with texting and chatting na nakaka-apekto din sa writing skills. So magkakaiba sila ng tinatackle na area, but all in all, ipinapakita dito yung pagiging challenging ng writing skills sa English, and at the same time yung problem, bakit siya naging mahirap at bakit hindi ganon kaganda yung writing skills ng mga students. Next, tignan natin yung kasunod. Another one. Furthermore, it is argued that mastering grammar, ito pumunta naman sa grammar. Grammar is still one of our variables. So mastering grammar is a complex process that requires making series of decisions about when and why to use one form rather than the other. So about sa grammar naman yung diniscuss dito sa susunod, which has also something to do with the writing skills. And then, yung kulay blue, again, to emphasize, to clarify, or to give direction dito sa article na inilagay natin about mastering grammar. Congruently, it is generally accepted that writing in English is a complex process for English, a second language or foreign language. It is not surprising that errors in writing are found as an unavoidable part of the language student writing. There are many aspects that cause the learners of English to make errors. So, in-expound lang niya dito na yung writing skills pa din, nakadepende din siya sa pagiging, sa pagkakaroon ng mastery when it comes to English grammar. And sinasabi din na yung errors daw in writing are found as unavoidable, which is incorrect. Kaya yung kasunod, tingnan natin. More so, Brown stated that it has been said that the learner's error in the second language resulted from learners' assumption that the second language forms are similar to the native language, which refers to interlingual error. So dito, sabi kasi unavoidable error daw. So bakit naging unavoidable error? Dito pinaliwanag naman yung pagkakaroon ng error analysis, yung process ng error analysis. So pag nagbabasa kayo ng articles, meron kayong mga may encounter na data or information na sa tingin ninyo kakailanganin or mapapakinabangan ng study ninyo. Kagaya dito. So kanina ang variable lang natin is English grammar and writing skills. Ngayon, nadagdagan tayo ng another variable. Kasi meron tayong na-encounter na meron palang tinatawag na error analysis. So sa error analysis, ginagamit siya para ma-test or ma-check yung writing outputs na magbibigay sa atin ng idea about the writing competence of the students or participants. So nadagdagan yung variable natin, error analysis. Kasi may nakita tayo na makakatulong or pwedeng idagdag upon reading different articles. Yon. So, pwede din mangyari sa inyo yan. May ma-encounter kayo na parang wait lang, parang pwede siya or relevant siya or mapapakinabangan siya sa study na naisip ninyo. Then, you can include as long as it is relevant or related to your study. So, sinama na natin sa error analysis. Next, supporting statement pa rin, international. Moreover, prepositions are one of the most difficult aspects of English grammar. Bumalik ulit tayo dito sa English grammar. So English grammar to master, they account for substantial proportion of all grammatical errors. So grammar and at the same time error. Yung arrangement ng content natin. Similar variables pa rin natin yung dalawa na yan. This is according to Lazar 10, 2014. So, in the study, ito, related study na to, and colleagues, errors related to prepositions were accounted by 29% of all errors that were detected in the writing of 53 post-intermediate English language students. Another study. So, kung marami na kayo or na-hit nyo na yung number of required international related literature or related studies, kasi usually yan, 3 kada variable. 3 study o 3 literature and 3 studies kada variable. So kung titignan nyo at okay na yung nakuha ninyo para sa bawat variable, pwede na yon. Pwede na kayong pumunta sa local. So international yung mauuna, then papunta na tayo sa local. From general to specific. So sa local natin, example. So umpisahan nyo ulit ng sarili nyong statement. In the Philippine setting, English is extensively used in commercial, governmental, and educational concerns. It is used in the schools as the medium of instruction from upper elementary level to graduate school level. Study. According to Magno et al. So, local studies lang to. Sa Philippines lang yung settings niya. Result of error analysis conducted among teachers, education students show that even education students who are specializing in English grappled when it comes to writing error-free written works. So, ibig sabihin, kahit daw yung mga English teachers, hindi rin sila makasulat ng error-free written works. So, isa siyang problem. So the study found out that errors in verb, tenses, structure, punctuations are the most common errors. Errors were mostly intralingual, and the students' errors were due to overgeneralization, false concept. So in line with this result, the researchers suggested that the teacher could solve the problem by giving implicit and explicit corrective feedback and remedial teaching program. Next, supporting data. So, ito na yon, na-set na natin, for example, yung sa Philippine settings. 3 ang kailangan nyo ha, isa na lang yung nilagay ko dito. 3 ganyan. At least 3 article, 3 studies, 3 literature, showing findings and articles in Philippine settings. Pag local. So, okay na tayo dito sa introduction and background. Yung part 1 to 7 na yan, introduction or background pa lang, part of chapter 1. So, naset na natin, napakita na natin na meron talagang problema pagdating sa writing skills. Kasi hindi lang sa Philippines, pati sa ibang bansa. At saka pinakita din dito yung iba't ibang may reason din kung bakit mababa yung writing skills ng mga students kagaya nitong sa technology, yung pag-shortcut ng mga messages. So na-build na natin yung background and then napakita din natin na meron talagang problem, hindi lang sa local natin. So pwede na tayo mag-proceed sa part 8, supporting data. Since based naman siya sa first-hand experience or observation, pwede kayong mag-conduct ng preliminary survey or test, kagaya ng na-mention kanina dito sa taas. Yan. So, yung initial basis is the written essay or output. So, minention din siya dito. Pwede nyo din siyang ilagay. Sa introduction, part 8 na siya. So, as expected, aspirant English language teachers, ito kulay blue na to. Kasi ito ay hindi nagaling sa iba. Yes, Nagyat? Raising your hand. Any questions? Sige, continue tayo. So this one, kayo na yung magpapaliwanag niyan kasi sariling preliminary survey nyo na to. So for example, yung sa amin, elicit error-free written works and be a good example to their future students. However, based on the written activity, yan yung basihan, none of them got an error-free written output. So, base daw dun sa preliminary assessment ng kanilang written essays, walang nakakuha ng perfectly written output. So, merong 72 incorrect punctuation, merong 45 incorrect letter cases. Yan yung mga findings. More so, 92 shows problematic organization of thoughts. So, yan yung sa additional support. Since meron na tayo nito, supported na tayo ng literature and studies, meron din tayong localized supporting details or data kagaya nitong preliminary assessment, pwede na tayo mag-establish ngayon ng objective. So, establishing your objectives, since meron na tayo or na-identify na natin, na-prove na natin na there is a gap or there is a problem that needs to be solved in your locality. Yan. Naka-emphasize si locality kasi yung ibang research problem or yung research gap, pwede kasi siya na sa ibang bansa, hindi na siya problema. Sa ibang lugar, hindi na siya research gap kasi matagal nang nasolusyonan. So, sa locality natin, hindi pa. Kaya po pwede pa natin siyang gamitin. Kaya din pumapasok yung idea ng replication. So kung merong mga existing studies from different places, pwede nyo siyang i-replicate. Gagayahin nyo yung methodologies niya. Titignan nyo yung naging proseso niya. Kasi baka mamaya merong similar case dito naman sa locality natin. So syempre, kung sa lugar nila na-solve na nila yung problem na yon, iba naman yung atake or yung solusyon dito sa locality natin kasi magkakaiba maybe sa culture, tradition, sa language. So maraming factors. Kaya pwede siyang i-replicate. So dito sa locality natin, we have proven already that there is really a research gap or problem that needs to be addressed. So i-build na natin ngayon si objective ng studies. So hence, having first-hand experience of committing errors in written works, the researchers perceived the urge to conduct this study to meet the expectations. So the study aims to first identify the errors which the third-year college students major in English commit to writing English paper. So kailangan mo nang ma-identify si error. And ano yung process na gagamitin to identify error? Yung kaninang na-encounter dun sa article which is the error analysis. So that is the process. Then, classify and quantify common errors into interlingual and intralingual error. Kasi itong interlingual and intralingual error, part to ng error analysis. So, nakakatulong yung pagbabasa ninyo ng iba't ibang article kasi you may also stumble with the necessary tools that you will be needing for your study, kagaya nga nitong error analysis. So at first, when we are doing this research, hindi naman namin alam. We're not aware of error analysis, na meron palang error analysis theory. So na-encounter lang namin siya upon reading different articles. So nung nakita namin, in-adapt namin since very much applicable siya dun sa study namin. So ito na yung ginamit namin. Iyan din yung naging theory namin sa chapter 2, yung error analysis. Then, the third one, be able to contribute. Ano naman yung silbi? Bakit ba kayo magtitesis or bakit ba kayo susulat ng research? Contribute by providing basis for an intervention program. So, syempre, kailangan masolusyonan yung poor writing skills ng mga students. So, kailangan may intervention program or merong workshop o kaya merong for example, writing clinic or grammar clinic or kung ano man yung solusyon na po pwede ninyong maisip or maibigay. But of course, all with the basis ng nakabase sa data na makukuha ninyo, yung intervention na ipopropose ninyo para maging effective siya. Hindi lang basta program, hindi lang basta intervention, kailangan nakabase dun sa data na nakuha ninyo from your study or research. Then, part 10, establishing your statement of the problem. So, meron ako nilagay dito na reminders or notes on how you are going to write your statement of the problem. This is based on BPSU Graduate School template. So, ito yung sa kanila. Pwede nyo din siyang basahin. So, proceed na ako dito sa example. So, ito yung example natin. Ang statement of the problem namin, so the general problem of this study is, what are the interlingual and intralingual errors of the respondent? Bakit ito yung naging tanong? Kasi una, sa research design, this one is a qualitative descriptive research. So we are just describing kasi nga we're just exploring. Ano ba yung mga errors na nakocommit ng participant? Kasi upon identifying those errors, dun din kami makakakuha or makakaisip ano bang solusyon yung nararapat. So, kailangan mo nang ma-identify yung root cause ng problem. So, yan yung pinaka-general question namin. What are the interlingual and intralingual errors? Then, specific questions. Specifically, the study sought answers to the following questions. First is, what language errors are found in the composition? So, dito na i-identify kung interlingual or intralingual ba siya. How may the error be classified? So, una, in-identify mo na lahat ng error. So, number 1 question yon. Then, nung na-identify na lahat ng errors, ano nang susunod na gagawin? You have to categorize them or classify them into interlingual or intralingual errors. And then, when you already identify the root cause or the error, the third one, what are the language intervention? Ano na ngayon yung program na po pwede ninyong i-propose base sa sagot na makukuha nyo for numbers 1 and 2 question. So, 3 to 5 questions pwede na for qualitative. Depende sa nature and depende sa flow ng study ninyo or content ng study ninyo. So, yan lang yung questions. Again, yung SOP nakadepende yan sa kung ano yung nature or design ng study na gagawin ninyo. Kung qualitative, kung quantitative ba siya, descriptive ba. So, yung type of study or research design, meron siyang basis. There are different types according to the purpose, and then there is also different types of study according to objective. Meron tayong mga ganong klase ng study, kagaya ng creative, evaluative, ano pa ba? Sa quantitative, meron tayong mga experimental na studies. Then sa qualitative, yung mga phenomenology, case studies, yon. Marami siyang iba't ibang klase. So, kailangan din basahin nyo yung iba't ibang klase ng studies under quantitative and qualitative, which is hindi naman natin mako-cover in 21 hours. Kasi sa curriculum, mas maganda sana if you will have your educational research na subject. Kasi dun sa subject na yon, dun siya detalyadong i-discuss sa inyo. Pero kapag ka mga gantong integrated lang or part lang ng iba't ibang subjects, hindi siya talaga kayang i-cover. Kaya nga I decided to just show you or demonstrate to you how are you going to write your paper, at least the title or the chapter 1. Yung procedural knowledge na lang. Kasi yung mga terminologies na ma-encounter nyo, you can just research those online. Pwede nyo namang i-search na lang. Then after ng SOP, the next part would be the significance of the study and then the scope and the limitation. So nandito yung definition niya. So yung significance of the study, maglalagay lang kayo dito ng mga pangalan, not necessarily proper noun. Like for example, learners, teachers, future researchers, school administrators, yung mga makikinabang sa output ng study ninyo. And then i-explain nyo lang paano naging beneficial sa kanila yung study ninyo. Paano makakatulong sa kanila yung output or yung mismong study ninyo. Yun yung nilalagay sa significance of the study. And then for scope and delimitation, ito minsan to, scope and limitation or scope and delimitation. Basta yung scope, when you say scope, kung ano lang yung sakop ng study ninyo, naka-itemize dyan or naka-delineate or naka-explain dyan yung scope, participants, locality, ano lang ba yung sakop ng study ninyo. And then of course, yung limitation or delimitation, yung mga factors na hindi kasama. Kasi minsan, sa study, kapag pine-present nyo na siya, yung mga panel, minsan maghahanap ng factor. For example, dito sa study nito, di ba, ang tinetest lang naman natin is the writing skills. Yung writing skills, broad yon. Kasi maraming factor that contributes to the writing skill of a person. Kaya lang, in this study, the only measure or the only factor that we're looking at is the writing output. Yung mga essays lang naman ng student yung tinitignan natin or pinagbabasihan natin to somehow describe their writing skills. So, syempre, kapag ang panel nagtanong, for example, yung intellectual level ng student o kaya naman yung economic, socio-economic status ng student that could somehow affect the writing skills. Siyempre, part na yun ng limitation. Sasabihin nyo na lang, that is one of the limitation of our study. We did not look into the intellect of the participants. We just test their writing skills through their written output by identifying the different types of errors they are committing in their written output. So yun yung gamit ng limitations. Another example of limitation for this example study, ang nakalagay kasi dyan, ang participants lang is third year college. So ang question naman, bakit third year lang? Bakit hindi nyo sinama yung second year o kaya yung first year o kaya yung fourth year? So the answer would be the level. So the participants, it would be better if they will have the same level, including first year or second year. There will be another factor that could affect the result of the study. Kasi syempre, iba naman ang writing skills, iba ang type of errors na possible na nagagawa ng mga second year at ng first year dun sa third year. So that is another example of the limitation ng study na yan. So yun lang yung nilalagay dyan sa sa scope and limitation. And then the last part would be notes in chapter 1. Now, for notes in chapter 1, you will be using APA 7th edition. Yung 7th edition na yan, marami ng YouTube tutorial para dyan. And then next meeting, I will be demonstrating to you different online or AI tools that you can use. How are you going to properly use them? Meron naman tayong reference or site generator. Meron din tayong AI na pwedeng gamitin wherein you will just upload the PDF or you will just put the DOI or the title of the study, and then yung AI na yon, siya na yung magbabasa para sa inyo. Babasahin niya na yung buong study and then isa-summarize niya na para sa inyo kung ano man yung nilalaman ng study na yon. So, mas madali mag-study or mag-conduct ng research these days kasi nga marami na tayong mga AI tools. Only the problem is students do not know how to properly utilize those AI kasi karamihan copy-paste ang ginagawa, which is very, very wrong. Mali na i-copy-paste. So next meeting, i-demonstrate ko naman sa inyo paano kayo properly makakapagsulat ng isang paragraph using those AI sa sample natin. So, ito yung discussion natin dyan. Ipapakita ko naman sa inyo ngayon yung chapters 1 to 5 or 1 to 3 nitong paper. Save muna natin. So, yung actual chapters 1 to 5 ng paper na yan, ito siya. Chapters 1 to 3 lang pala to. 1 to 5 ba to? Wait. Let me check. Chapters 1 to 3 lang. Pero tapos ang study na to up until chapters 1 to 5. Kasi published yan internationally. So para makita niyo yung difference between full-blown study and IMRAD study, ay ba't nawala? Ito, errors. Yan. Ito yung chapter 1. Laki. Yan. So, kung titignan natin yung kabuuan, kanina kasi naka-chunk-chunk yung pinakita ko sa inyo, naka-part by part. So, basahin natin yung first. Ayan. In the field of education, specifically aspirant English language teachers are expected to exhibit good writing skills. However, writing is one of the most challenging. And then the first one stated that in order to satisfy language educators and to obtain all this, yan. Next paragraph, consequently. So kayo na ang bahalang magpaganda ng transition. Kailangan ma-achieve nyo yung coherence and then yung logical flow ng ideas or ng content dito sa chapter 1 or sa background, introduction and background. Yung flow niya kailangan smooth, hindi naglalabo-labo. Kasi yung iba, naglalabo-labo lalo yung mga variables. Hindi maganda yung pagkakasunod-sunod. So, dyan papasok yung writing skills. Furthermore, it is argued that mastering grammar. So, pumasok na sa grammar. Kanina, ini-introduce lang kung bakit mahirap ang writing skills. Bakit siya naging mahirap? Kasi ngayon daw, Tagalogin ko ha, itong first part, ang sabi dito, mahirap daw ang writing skills kasi maraming kailangang skills na meron ka. Yung grammatical skills, kailangan marunong ka sa yung handwriting, yung spelling. Tapos, second paragraph, eto, nakakadagdag pa daw sa problema yung pag-shortcut natin sa paggamit ng mga text or messages. Kaya nakakadagdag pa siya sa problema natin when it comes to writing skills. Unang paragraph, mahirap na nga yung writing, English writing, nakadagdag pa sa problema tong second paragraph na in-explain niya kung bakit nagiging mas mahina is because of the use of abbreviation, acronym, or yung pag-shortcut natin sa mga text message. And then, yung English grammar or yung mastery naman talaga ng grammar is a complex process daw according to Selsemusha. Congruently, it is generally accepted that writing is a complex process. So may mga proof na talaga naman daw nagpapatotoo na si writing at si grammar ay mahirap naman talagang i-master. So bakit daw siya mahirap i-master? Kasi marami daw talagang aspects yung English kung saan nakaka-commit ng iba't ibang klase ng error. So pumasok na si error. Ano-ano daw ba yung mga errors na kadalasang nako-commit? Nandyan si intralingual and interlingual error if you are studying foreign language or second language. Then, since sinabi natin dito na maraming error na nako-commit, ito naman yung patunay na marami talagang error na nako-commit international. So, yung sa study daw, yung preposition daw, maraming nagkakamali dyan. 29% of the errors are about preposition. Then sa Philippine settings, ano ba ang sitwasyon ng writing or ng English grammar sa Philippines? So sa study na kinandak ni Magno, ano yung naging resulta? Wala din daw kahit isang teachers or ano ba to? Kahit daw yung students specializing in English ay hindi rin daw nakakasulat ng error-free written works according to study. And then another, according to study pa rin, yung mga errors daw na kadalasang nako-commit sa Philippine settings to mga Filipino students ay verb tenses, structure, yan. So in line with the result, the researchers suggested that the teacher could solve problem by giving implicit and explicit corrective feedback and remedial teaching program. Tapos ipinasok na ngayon yung preliminary, yung first-hand observation evidence. So as expected, aspirant English language teacher should elicit error-free written works as a good example for their future students. So dito na pumasok si locality, yung preliminary survey na mas magpapatotoo pa that there is really a research gap or problem in the locality when it comes to writing skills. Then binild na ngayon, ano ba yung objective? And then after the objective, ano ba yung mga specific goals or the statement of the problem? Hence, the general problem of this study is first to identify the interlingual and intralingual. So paano magagawa yon? Kailangan alamin mo na lahat ng errors na nagagawa ng mga participant. Pag na-identify na lahat ng errors, then we have to categorize them and quantify them according to interlingual or intralingual. And then, after that, syempre, yung intervention program na po pwede nating i-propose. So, the significance of the study, sino-sino makikinabang? Students. Bakit sila makikinabang? Ipaliwanag nyo lang dyan. And then, teachers, meron din curriculum planners, yan, future researchers. And then yung scope and the limitation. So dito sa scope, sinasabi lang kung sino yung, ano yung aim, to identify, classify, and quantify writing errors of third year, yung participant natin, and yung locality, Bataan Peninsula States, school year 2017-2018. Now, the researchers selected those in third year since they are the most crucial variable in the study. So dito pinapaliwanag na bakit third year lang yung kasama, but hindi kasama yung ibang year level. So pinapaliwanag na yung limitations. Also, quality written works are prevalent during this year as compared to other year levels. So specifically as compared to second and first year, this is the year level when most of the major courses in English are being introduced. So pinapaliwanag nyo na or gina-justify nyo na yung mga limitations ng studies nyo. And then, yan, naka-define din dito. So the written paper used in the error analysis were the data extracted from. Saan ba galing yung data ninyo? So, kinuha daw yung essay sa subject na Principles of Teaching 2 and Stylistics. Doon daw galing yung essay na ginamit for preliminary analysis. And then, pinaliwanag din dito as part of your scope, ano bang klase ng study or design ng study yung ginagawa ninyo. So, descriptive evaluative research study. And ano ba yung instrument or yung tool, research instrument na ginamit? So, meron lang tayo ditong unstructured interview and document analysis. Yun lang yung tool na ginamit natin. And the design or the method is qualitative method of research. So, for you to identify this part of the study, this part of your scope and limitation, syempre, kailangan nyo ng further study with the different types of researches. So, magsisend na lang siguro ako ng reference para dito na mag-define or magbibigay sa inyo ng iba't ibang klase ng research under qualitative and quantitative. So, basahin nyo na lang din siya, and if you have questions, you can ask it in our GC or you can further your studies online. Kasi nasa-search naman yung mga yan. Babasahin nyo na lang at iintindihin. Then, notes in Chapter 1. Nakasunod tayo sa APA 7th edition. Usually, the instruction for notes or writing notes is hindi alphabetical ang arrangement. Depende sa hihingin sa inyo, but mostly hindi siya alphabetically arranged. Kung sino ay yung unang binanggit ninyo Eto, si alin sunod. Kung sino yung unang-una, siya din dapat yung nasa unahan ng listahan ninyo. So, hindi po siya alphabetical. Sana yon. Yan, hindi po alphabetically arranged ang notes in chapter 1. Then, puntahan natin, it's already 6 o'clock. Give me another 15-minute extension. Tapusin natin to. Chapter 2, theoretical framework. Yeah, wala naman na tayo nito. Pakita ko lang sa inyo. Relevant theory. So, yung ginamit nga nating theory dito is the error analysis theory. So, yan. So, magbabasa lang kayo about error analysis. Get all the details that is relevant to your study. So, yan. Marami kaming na-discover regarding error analysis na nakuha at natutunan lang namin by reading different articles, different studies. So, na-identify namin itong si contrastive analysis hypothesis, itong contrastive approach to error analysis. So, napakarami palang approaches since 1950s up to the present time. Yung history ng error analysis na sundan namin or naaral namin. And so, we were able to easily identify the different types of error in the contemporary time. Mas naging mabilis or malinaw para sa amin kung ano ba dapat yung i-identify when you are doing error analysis in different essays or written works. So sinundan or inaral namin from start to end yung history ng error analysis from 1950s. Then we were able to devise our own error analysis. Paano namin siya ika-categorize. Yon. Then related literature. So nakalagay dyan yung mga variables. So, ang variables, writing errors, ganun pa rin, 3 international, 3 local, and then interlingual errors. Ano ba yung interlingual errors? Variable din siya. So, dumami na yung variable. From English grammar, writing skill, and error analysis, the more na nagbabasa kayo ng literatures or mga articles, the more na meron kayong makikitang variable na po pwede palang mapakinabangan ng study ninyo. So ito, dumami na. Meron ding intralingual error as variable. And then related studies. Yun. Then yung conceptual framework, ano yung pinaka process na pagdadaanan ng inyong kabuuan, yung kabuuan ng study ninyo. So sa amin, input, data, identified error, yung information. So yung data namin, nagkanda kami ng error analysis, tapos error analysis, we identify the written error, and then we interviewed the students para tanungin sila bakit ba sila nagkamali dyan sa mga errors na yan. And based on their answer, we identify or classify the errors into interlingual or intralingual error, and then nag-interview ulit kami kung tama ba yung pagkaka-identify namin based on their explanation. And then validation of error analysis. Nung binalidate na si error analysis na nagbabalidate nito ay yung mga experts. So, nagkaroon na kami ng intervention proposal, proposed intervention na binalidate ulit ng mga experts, and then nung na-validate, yun na yung pinaka-output ng study namin. So, yun. Hanggang chapter 3. So, tignan naman natin ngayon yung published version nito. Yung IMRAD format na tinatawag. Saan na yung IMRAD? Yan. So, the study was published 2019. So, kung titignan nyo si IMRAD format, saan na siya? So, pagtapos na yung study, chapters 1 to 5, dun lang kayo magkakaroon ng abstract. Kasi si abstract, ang content niyan is introduction, bakit kailangan or bakit ano yung research gap, and then yung method na ginawa ninyo, yung procedure, and then yung result ng study ninyo, and then ano yung program or output ng study ninyo. Yun yung lalamanin ng abstract. Summary na lang chapters 1 to 5, and then yung mga keywords. So kung titignan natin si introduction na tinatawag dito, si introduction nito is chapters 1 and 2. So, nandyan yung mga articles. Kanina, pipiliin lang natin yung pinaka-importante dun sa mga nakuha nating articles. And then, ito yung sa identification ng intralingual and interlingual error. Ano-ano ba yung intralingual and interlingual error? Part na to ng chapter 2 kasi sa chapter 2 yan diniscuss. Yan, statement of the problem, theoretical framework, related literature and studies, magkasama na lang din siya. Kukuha lang kayo ng mga pinaka-importante, hindi lahat kailangan ilagay or depende sa kung gaano karaming references ang hihingin sa inyo, conceptual framework, methods and techniques, population sampling size, data gathering, result and discussion. So kung titignan ninyo, yung tinatawag na IMRAD format, it varies when it comes to template. Kasi hindi siya necessarily na kailangan IMRAD lang ang makikita nyo. Depende sa publication or sa magpa-publish ng paper ninyo kung ano-anong parts ang hihingin niya sa inyo. Kagaya dito sa study namin, almost all parts or important parts of chapters 1 to 5 hiningi niya. Nandito si method and technique, population, data gathering procedure, results and discussions. Yan. So kung magpa-publish, usually ang IMRAD ginagamit kapag ipa-publish ang paper ninyo. So depende sa publisher kung ano-ano yung parts na hihingin niya sa inyo. But basically, kaya siya tinawag na IMRAD format kasi yun lang naman yung pinaka mga importanteng parte na kailangan kasama. So again, yung IMRAD format, hindi siya magagawa kung wala kayong full-blown chapters 1 to 5. Any question po? May questions po ba? Ay, kumana ng mouse ko. Any questions po?
Wala po.
Sandali, balik tayo dun sa gamit natin. Yan. So, itong ginamit ko na Word file, isi-send ko to sa GC natin para magamit ninyo. Ito na yung pinaka-reference material and then magsisend na lang din ako ng other references pa that you can read about different parts of the paper. But basically, ang requirement lang natin for your final term ay ito lang. Requirement natin. So, concept paper, title lang siya, chapter 1 lang to. Yan. So, kung ano yung content ng chapter 1, yun lang yung gagawin ninyo. Hindi buong IMRAD. And then, paano naman yung PO ninyo? That would be your title defense. So, like I've said, yung rubric, instructions, and groupings will be discussed next meeting. And then, sinama ko na dito sa doc file na to, yung presentation skill. So, this will serve as your homework kasi babasahin nyo na lang naman to. Basically, ang content lang nito is paano kayo maging confident. What are the things that you should do in order for you to present your paper confidently, for you to be able to defend the content of your paper confidently. Mga paraan lang kung paano nyo ipe-present. So, public speaking skills pa rin siya. So, mga few reminders lang to, mga suggestions lang on how you can build your confidence. What are the things that you need to do? Paano yung mga pagre-rehearse na kailangan ninyong gawin? Yan, mga suggestions lang yan. So you can read this. This will be your second topic, supposed second topic, which is presentation skills. So basahin na lang, read and comprehend na lang yung presentation skills. So isisend ko na lang po ito sa GC natin. Any more questions? So ngayon pa lang, mag-isip na kayo ng concept ninyo. And then pag may naisip kayong concept, yun, simulan nyo nang magbasa-basa. Kagaya nito. The next meeting, ipapakita ko sa inyo iba't ibang AI tool, i-demonstrate ko sa inyo paano ba sinusulat tong mga parts na to. Ito, yung mga paragraph na yan, paano ba siya sinusulat? Kasi iba, pagka may nakitang article, ika-copy-paste, ipapasok sa Killbot, papaparaphrase sa Killbot, tapos yun na ika-copy-paste yun na sa Killbot, yun na yun, which is wrong. Kasi si Killbot, yung context, wala. Yung semantics, wala din. Yung diction or the proper words to use, hindi niya naman na ibibigay. Kayo pa rin ang mag-a-arrange. Tsaka hindi siya basta copy-paste kasi may tamang proseso ng pagpaparaphrase if it is for thesis or research. May tamang proseso ng pagpaparaphrase. Hindi lang siya basta pinapalitan or binabalik-baliktad yung mga sentences. Paraphrase yung ginamit na term pero hindi siya yung literal na paraphrasing if it is for a research paper. So next meeting ko na siya i-demonstrate sa inyo. So kung wala ng questions, kindly turn on or open your cam so we can take photo of our meeting this afternoon for documentation. So pag may questions, sa GC na lang. And then pag may hindi maintindihan na terminologies about research, you can use online. Search, read, and comprehend lang. Okay po? So 5, 4, 3, 2, 1. Kindly turn on your cameras po. One more. Isa pa. Ayaw gumana ng mouse ko. Off ko muna yung presentation. Yan, yung iba pong wala pang cam, kindly turn on your cameras po. Ito off, 5, 4, 3, 2, 1. Yan, okay na po. So if there's no more questions or clarification, you may now leave our virtual room. Thank you for attending our meeting this afternoon. Okay po.
Bye.
Thank you po. Thank you po, ma'am.
Shout out Arpinong Ignacio. Shout out everyone. Good night.